Hi everybody, Neil with 21st Century Equipment. We're talking about daily maintenance today with our John Deere 1025R tractor loader backhoe, or TLB. John Deere's done what they can to make the daily maintenance as easy as possible, and that includes greasing. Sometimes we get questions around how often I should grease my machine, or even when. And what I mean by when, beginning or end of the job, should I be greasing it? So the schedule of maintenance on these machines, which is actually on a sticker right on the other side of the hood here, tells us that in dry climates, you're able to grease these every 40 hours or every day in a wet environment. I tell people grease is an inexpensive insurance. Go ahead and grease it every time you use it. I'd rather have grease in this joint than risk having metal on metal, where a joint gets hot and doesn't work properly, which results in a high repair bill because I didn't take the time to grease this unit. And then as far as the when, my preference is actually to grease it at the end of the day, because these joints will get a little bit of warmth in them just from being used. Whether I've greased it or not, it'll get a little warm, and it makes it easier for the joint to take grease. Now I'm going to show you how to do that right on this easy to get to one, and then as we go around the machine, I'll point out the grease zerks on the loader and then the tractor loader backhoe. They're a little harder to get to back there. I'm going to pick an easy one to show you how to do it. First thing I always do is clean off that grease zerk as much as possible. You're not going to get all the grit out of there, but I want to make sure that where that grease is going in, that it is clean. And then grease guns themselves, got a couple of choices, kind of the old faithful, been around forever, just a hand crank grease gun. If you got one in your garage, great, use it. And if you have a question about what type of grease, go ahead and check with the parts department. They can get you the exact specification you need for this loader and for the backhoe. The other type, and more common today, is one of these battery powered grease guns. Now this one happens to be a Milwaukee. I promise they come in yellow, they come in green, and every color under the rainbow. So you'll be able to find a grease gun that works with the electric tools you already own. I've already wiped off the end of this, and so all I'm going to do is push that onto the grease zerk. And then as I pull the trigger, I'm going to go ahead and run this grease gun, and it's going to go ahead and pump grease in here. I'm going to just look in the joints of the unit to see where the fresh grease is coming out. There are 6 locations per side. They're a mirror image on the other side. I've got 2 at these rear pivots, 2 located at this center knuckle, and then finally 2 more down at the bucket end of the loader. Again, reproduced on the other side, so 6 more on the other side. Those are the points you're going to want to grease, whether it's at the beginning or the end of a day of working. We talked about the grease points on the front loader and how easy they are to get to. John Deere has done everything we can to make sure that these grease zerks are as easy to get to as well on this 260B backhoe attachment. Unfortunately, there are a couple that are a little more difficult. So let's go and point to them all. First, I've got one hiding down here that you'll just access straight from above. A flexible hose on your grease gun is going to be important to get to that one. Of course, another one right here. As well, there's one hiding on the bottom of this pin right here, so make sure you wipe that one off when you go to get it. Right in here at the base of this cylinder, facing to the back, is another grease zerk hiding in here. It's as accessible as we can make it, but can be challenging to get to. Moving up, grease zerk right here on this pivot. Grease zerk coming in from here on this pivot. This pivot is actually accessed from here. You can see it when you look straight in the back here. Then this pin, same thing, grease zerk right here on top. Coming down, next pin we hit is this guy, and it's located right there. Another one that's kind of underneath is this pin right here for this. And then grease zerk here for this pin, and a grease zerk here for this pin. Quite a few more grease zerks on this 260B backhoe attachment, but well worth it. The time you invest in making sure those pivots are greased, whether at the beginning of a day of working with it or at the end of the day of working with it, it's going to pay dividends in long life of this 260B backhoe attachment. John Deere has done everything they can to make it as easy as possible to maintain your machine. If you don't want to do your own oil changes, any of our 21st Century Equipment locations are happy to do this service for you. In fact, you can sign up for a prepaid service plan if you'd like. Go to your local 21st Century Equipment, ask the service department about more details.